Hear me. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Hey everybody. Um type 1 in the comments if you can hear me, 2 if you can see me, 1 and 2 if you can hear me and see me. I want to make sure before we get started. And let me check from my phone. I think you should be able to hear me. I don't see 1s or 2s yet. So I want to make sure. And then I see, let's see, Lucy. Hi Lucy. And Susan. Hey Susan, how are you? I'm gonna contact you after this, Susan. I see Debbie ones. Okay, now I see 1s and 2s. There's a delay. Okay, perfect. So y'all can hear me. So hey everybody. Hey Cornelia, Debbie, Adero, Oshika, Shanita, Bethlehem, I think I already said Cornelia, Shanita. Hey everybody. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me and see me, and thank you for joining me today. Like you're doing, introduce yourself and let me know where you're joining me from. For those of you who are new to me, I'm in North Carolina in Wake Forest. So let me know where you're joining me from today. And also go ahead and drop a Tatiana, hey Hannah, Rania, or Rania. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. Hey, everybody. So, like I said, let me know. Continue to introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're joining us from. Oshika says she's in Florida. Nice. Nice. And then Tatiana, Daytona Beach. Okay. Florida is definitely represented. Texas, Mebane, North Carolina. Okay. Down the street. Litz, Pennsylvania. Canada. In the house. I see somebody from Atlanta, near my hometown, Dallas. Okay, so we have people all around today. Dover, Delaware, Georgia. Okay. So thank y'all for introducing yourselves, letting me know where you're joining us from. And this is your time. For those of you who aren't familiar with how this works, this is your time to ask me any questions that you might have about being a CRA or any clinical research role in general. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about being a CRA specifically. But this is your time to ask all your questions. I see Alabama, Chicago. Hey, everybody. Hey, Debbie. And so drop your questions in the comments, and first come first serve. So get your questions in as quickly as you can. And I'm gonna South Carolina. I see is in the house as well. Joni. Hey Joni. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Let me know if I'm saying that correctly or not. But yeah, so drop your questions in the comments, and I'm gonna go through them in the order that I received them. And I'm talking too fast, getting tongue tied. So yeah, drop your questions in the comments. And while y'all are doing that, I do want to let me see. Okay, I see Tatiana. She dropped her question. Okay, we'll get to that. Get to your question first. And keep the questions coming. I see Fatima has dropped one too. So before we get into the questions, I do want to, okay, I got it right, Joni. Before we get into the questions, I do want to just briefly mention beliefs and how big a part your thoughts, your beliefs play into any type of success, honestly. But since we're specifically talking about careers here, your career. So you have to really work on the belief component. That's something that I include that in anybody that I work with, they'll tell you like, you know, the mindset is going to be a big component of it just because it literally is, whether you're aware of it or not, just like gravity, whether you're aware of it or not, it's still holding us down, right? So this is how belief works. And when you really realize that your thoughts create your results and you make that connection, that's when you begin to start manifesting and shaping your world the way that you want to. So you can have the best resume in the world, you have the best LinkedIn profile in the world, you can have the best networking game in the world. But if you don't truly believe in yourself, or if you have doubts that you'll ever get to that role or you'll ever reach that point, then that will significantly hold you back. It could even be potentially, if it's left unchecked, it could be the detriment to your career and you reaching your goals. So you can have a mediocre, I would rather put it this way, I would rather see someone with a stronger belief than a stronger resume, put it that way. And when you combine the two, when you combine, the belief component with all the right tools, then that's when you ultimately reach your goal. So just keep that in mind if you're like one of those people that feel like you're never going to reach your goal or you're never going to hit it, or if you could just get that, a better resume, if you could just get somebody to look at your LinkedIn profile. If you have those doubts, let them go. Just, I know it's easier said than done because I was literally in your place, but hear me when I say you can, without all those things that you think you need, if you make that one shift, you'll see a significant result in the type of, not even just job offers and interviews, but in general, you'll start making connections with people that you never even thought would be in your world or in your realm, right? So just think about that for a second. And I'm not going to leave you guys hanging there. Belief is something, your thoughts and how they create your results, that's something that I'm going to talk about a lot more, because I've noticed in the more people that I work with, myself included, I'm not excluding myself, but that seems to be the root of most people's issues. So I feel like if you can start there, you're already ahead of the game. So, okay, that's enough of my rant. And let me go to the questions. Oh, wow. So y'all have loaded up in the comment section while I was on my little rant. That's perfect though. That's what we're here for, right? So Tatiana, you're up first. Where is it? I just had it. Okay, Tatiana. So I've heard that you only need 1.5 to 2 years of experience in clinical research to become a CRA. Has that changed? Well, first of all, I will say the 1.5, and let me get up above this, right? And first of all, I would say that the 1.5 to 2 years, I personally have not heard that as like a hard set in stone criteria. So I know people who have spent way less than 1.5, like 0 years in the clinical research space, and they actually have landed CRA roles. So it's not a hard set in stone thing. I have heard different people coming to me saying that they have heard this, so you're not alone, Tatiana. But I would say you don't technically need that window. It's all going to depend on you as an individual and where your skill set is. So it's not like a one size fit all, like everybody cookie cutter has to have 1 year, 2 years type of thing, if that makes sense. So if you have the skill set, you can decrease that number. Now, with the one thing I will say is that although you can get a CRA role with less than 1.5 to 2 years, you got to ask your question, do you want to? Where, again, going back to your skill set, where are you with knowing the trial master file, the investigator site file, so all regulatory documents? Where are you with knowing the safety pieces? What's an SAE, AE, capturing all that information? Where are you when it comes to vendor management from the site level specifically? Where are you when it comes to what else? Just knowing the basics of clinical research and even the basics of monitoring and how that potentially works. You have to ask yourself these questions, because if you feel like there's a huge gap and it's going to do you a disservice to make that jump quicker, just because you can doesn't always mean that you should. So I hope that helps, Tatiana. Let me know if I answered your question. If not, please drop another follow-up in the comments. So next question is from Fatima. Can you describe best practices for SAE management in oncology trials, please? So the best practices, and for those of you, for the audience who doesn't know what an SAE is, that's a serious adverse event, and your question is best practices. So, and just to put this out there, we always want to make sure that with SAE specifically, that we are making sure they're being reported by the site within 24 hours of the site becoming aware of this particular event. So that includes weekend too, guys. And that applies for all SAEs. So we're going to throw that out there first for those of you who don't know what an SAE is, or who didn't know that tad bit of information. But the best practices would be, number one, ensuring that that 24-hour deadline timeline is met. And then number two, it depends, because with your question, you're not letting me know whether you're on the site side or whether you're on the sponsor CRO side. It depends on what your actions would be, somewhat based upon which side you're on. But generally speaking, the main components that you want to have is like what getting all the information of what happens in this particular event, what made it an SAE in the first place. So going through, was it hospitalization? Was there some type of impairment, disability that occurred from the event? And I don't want to go turn this into all about SAEs, because I know that I try to stay strictly to career development question. So I don't want to go down that path for those of you who are completely lost right now. But just know that the main components is that it's reported on time, and that you gather as much information about the particular event as possible. Number one being what made it an SAE in the first place. And look up, if you don't know all the criteria for SAE, you can look that up. And then also making sure that you continue to follow up on that particular SAE. So maybe they don't have all of the pieces when they initially report it, but making sure that you continue to follow up and get the missing pieces if there are some. And then even if it is, complete, which is very rare, but let's say it's complete when they first submit the SAE, then you also want to follow up and make sure that, maybe they were, this particular SAE resulted in a medication that they're on. So you want to follow up and see if they, stop the medication, if they're still taking it. Maybe it led to the patient needing some type of surgery. So you want to follow up on it as well. And then making sure that all this information is being documented properly. So whether that's at the site in the source documents, whether that's in the EDC. Again, you didn't specify which side. So I'm trying to answer it in like a overarching broad way. I hope that helps. I could go into all the details about, okay, on the CRO sponsor side, how you have to capture it and handle it and things of that nature. I don't really want to go down the pharmacovigilance rabbit hole and how they process SAEs, but just know that there's other various components that play into best practices for managing SAEs. The question is open-ended, and again, I try to keep these to career development questions. So Fatima, let me know if I answered your question, or drop another question and narrow it down to which particular side you're referring to. So let's see, Joni Oshika. Your question is, I want to transition from CRC2 to CRA, but I haven't been able to land any position. Should I be doing something to up my chances? Well, first off, just long story short, to answer your question, Oshika, yes, absolutely. If you have been trying, I don't know how long you've been trying. You didn't add that. I don't know what you've been doing when you say trying. So does that mean, oops, I'm talking too fast. Does that mean that you have been applying to hundreds of jobs, or does that mean you just put out one application? Does that mean that you've worked on your LinkedIn profile and you've taken it, a strategic approach, or you just put the bare minimum on there? Does that mean that you're networking? It will all depend on what you mean when you say you're trying. But long story short, whether you say you've done all those things or not, if you're asking the question, then the answer is yes. There are some things that you can be doing to up your chances, and we're going to be talking about some of these things. I'm doing a summer series of having live shows with different types of guests. We're going to be covering different types of topics. And the first 5 parts of the series will be with recruiter Angela Roberts. And so you can join those lives and then get some information there. on some things that you can be doing, tips that you can be doing directly from the recruiter. And then also other parts of this series, we're going to be talking about branding, personal branding, and self marketing. So those are some other things that you can focus on as well. So you can stay tuned to those things. But in the meantime, definitely, and I don't know if I'm gonna, let's see what time it is. If you can add a follow-up question, or she can let me know, how long have you actually been looking at some of the things that you've done, then I can give you some other suggestions on some things that you can do to up your chances. And then so the next question is Rania. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If not, let me know. What does it take to be a CRA? Another one of those open-ended questions. um, let's see. What does it take to be a CRA? I would say what I needed the most to be a CRA is resilience. Honestly. Because on the one side, people, as an aspiring CRA, you're trying your hardest to get in, right? You're doing all that. We just saw Oshika, she talked about some of the things she's been doing. I'm pretty sure somebody else is going to say they've been doing stuff. I was in y'all same boat, and I was there doing everything I could do. So on one side, you have to be resilient to even get in the role, right? And then on the other side, once you're in the role, some people think it's all glitz and glam, and it's like, oh, I get to travel in these perks, but you do have to put in work, y'all. And especially if you're trying to be a traveling CRA, that will potentially and can potentially take a toll if you don't manage your time and your work-life balance properly. I'll throw that caveat out there. But it takes resilience to stay in the role and to be good in the role and to grow and get promoted in the role. It takes resilience to build a CRA career. So I would say, long story short, to answer your question, what does it take to be a CRA? Honestly, resilience. Now, there's some other skills that one will, argue as like a given. Like you need to, being analytical is great because you're looking at a lot of different information and you have to pick up trends and you have to pick them up fairly quickly. So being analytical, being a critical thinker, being a problem solver, being solution oriented, those types of skill sets are priceless when it comes to not just being a CRA, but successful in general, right? So I'm not downplaying those things that are required to be a CRA, but resilience, I would say, if you got that, you can make it. Now, notice what I did not say is another degree or monitoring experience, or what's another one I get? CRA certification or a CRA training. Like, notice I did not say that you need any of those things. So I hope that answers your question, Rania. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't see that you've corrected me. Okay, next question, Bethlehem. So I have around 2 years of experience as a CRC, but I'm having a hard time transitioning to a CRA. I have reviewed resume. I have reviewed. I'm assuming you meant to put you've revised your resume multiple times by different people. What would you say is the best way to get noticed by CROs? Great question. So, Bethlehem, well, first off, I would say for the people that have been a study coordinator for quite some time, so Ashika, I'm not sure how long you have been, but you being a two, it sounds like you've probably been there a while. So when you've been at a study coordinator role for like a year, let's say, and depending on what institution that is, 1 year could equal 6, right? For some of y'all who, I'm not going to call any sites out, but for some of y'all at those sites, those institutional sites, you know what I'm talking about. So if you're at close to a year, beyond a year, I would say you can definitely, if you've taken that role seriously and you've gotten everything out of it, you can learn and really made it a quality experience. You're making a strong CRA candidate, right? So if you're past that, it's definitely time for you, Bethlehem, to get a CRA role. And if you're struggling, then that lets me know that, okay, that's okay, because we can work on these things. So great question. What is the best way to get noticed? Well, it's going to go back to, and I don't know, I think this is my first time seeing you during one of my lives. So I don't know how much you've seen of my content, but going back to a while back, I did a series on brand and marketing and selling yourself. And it really goes back to those basic skill sets. And they're really all kind of one and the same. I feel like, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like trying to teach a brand and marketing lesson right now, but a brand meaning like you strategically represent yourself in a way that when people think about you, Bethlehem, they automatically know, oh, she's this experienced, wonderful CRC that has this TA experience, et cetera, right? That's your brand. What do people think about? How do people feel when they think about you and what you have chosen to represent? And marketing is you taking that brand and putting it out there so that you can ultimately sell the brand and essentially get this job offer, right? So when you focus on your branding and marketing skills, that in and of itself, when you get good at the two skill set, then it's an automatic when it comes to selling yourself during the interviews. You can essentially sell yourself before the interview. So that is the best way to get noticed. Now you're probably saying, okay, well, how do I strategically build my brand and market myself, right? I'm going to be talking about that again during this live series and also bringing in some other guests. So I'm going to really, since I've been a little AWOL for a while. I have a lot of things going on. Personally, I have a lot of things going on behind the scenes business wise that I've been working on. So that's been kind of the reason why I haven't been showing up, but I have a lot of things in store for you guys. So I'm going to cover all these things over the next several weeks with guests and then me coming on and doing pop-up training as well. So stay tuned. But for you, what can you do today, right now, Bethlehem, is ask yourself the question, what do you want to represent? How do you want people to perceive you, to see you, to feel when they think about you? And then what is your most natural, organic, authentic way to sell and market yourself? So let's say social media. LinkedIn, you all should, most of you anyways that follow me know how I feel about LinkedIn and using it as a platform to leverage your building your career essentially. So LinkedIn is the primary way to build an online presence and to market yourself online and to build an online brand. So that, for example, if you aren't on LinkedIn, then that would be something that okay, that is an area that I strongly really need to work on when it comes to marketing myself. So first you get the branding piece, then you work on the marketing piece. Okay, how am I going to put myself out there? Am I going to post? Am I going to DM? Am I going to indirect DM and indirect message recruiters, direct message other clinical research professionals, hiring managers? Are you going to go to events and network that way? So that would be the second part when I say self-marketing yourself. Okay, well, now that you have the brand, how are you going to put this brand out there to the world? So those are some things, some questions that you can ask yourself now, Bethlehem, that you can work on. And you've been a CRC and for 2 years already know that you're qualified. So if you're having a hard time, it's just something missing in your messaging, in your branding, and your marketing. It's something missing that's not bringing those people to you, because you shouldn't even be applying at this point. You really should have, and I don't like using the word should, but you really could have a brand, a strategic brand, and a way to market yourself so you don't even have to be submitting applications, honestly. So I hope that helps, Bethlehem. But like I said, stay tuned for more. And then next question, Debbie. So tips for getting non-travel CRA positions for people that have been in clinical research for 7 years but no monitoring experience. So same thing, Bethlehem, Debbie, as I was telling Bethlehem, the same things, guys, for all of you, for all of us, whether you're just starting out in your career and you're a baby professional and you're just fresh out of college or high school, or whether you're an experienced professional, it's the same thing when it comes to branding and marketing yourself. There's no person that's above this skill set. It's a multiple six-figure, I can't even get it out. I get so worked up about the topic. It's a multiple six-figure and seven-figure skill set that once you master it, you can literally create, shape, do whatever you want to. So branding and personal branding and self-marketing skills are priceless for any point of your career. So the same thing applies to you, Debbie. I would say the same thing to get these non-travel positions. And so you specifically want to be looking at in-house CRA roles. And when I say in-house, hear me, that does not mean that you're going to be working on site, because most of the in-house CRA roles are remote, working from home. But in-house meaning that you're not on site conducting the visits and you're not traveling conducting the visits. You might even do some monitoring visits remotely, but typically that's what that means when you see in-house CRA roles. So Debbie, you would target in-house CRA roles, and you would target your brands and your market specifically to what the people in the in-house CRA roles are looking for. You would target your brand and marketing, your messaging around that. And when I say your messaging, meaning, for example, in your resume, the language that you would use in your resume, you want to you can pull up a job description for an in-house CRA role, see what type of language they're using on there, and make sure you're weaving that into your resume, for example, weaving that into your LinkedIn profile, weaving that into the interview conversations that you're having. That's one example. So I hope that helps, Debbie. Let me know if not, and you can post another follow-up question. So Joni Hayes, you're up next. Hey, Joni. So have you noticed that there seems to be way more roles for established CRA roles? How can we get around how lopsided the roles seem right now? Joni, I would say yes, I have, but I will also say that's just in general. I don't think it's our industry specifically. It seems like entry level roles are just, numbers wise, they can seem like they're so far, less entry level roles than experienced CRA roles, right? So you're like, how am I going to ever get chosen? How are they going to pick me when there's only a few? And there's so many people that want to be CRAs. So don't get caught up in that. Going back to my little, the little rant I had at the beginning about your thoughts and how they create your results. So if we're working together, Joni, and you come to me with this question, the first thing I want to focus on is the fact that this question is even in your brain. So that lets me know that your brain is thinking about already, and again, no shaming on our brains, because our brain is just doing its job. It's just trying to protect you. But the fact that you're even asking this question lets me know that there's somewhere inside of you that's already coming up with an excuse for why you can't get a CRA job. You're automatically already on, whether you're conscious of it or not, somewhere in there you're saying, question it, because there's so few roles. So it's like, okay, well, if we could just figure out how to make the number of roles increase, then I got a shot. You're thinking about it the complete backwards way, Joni. And this is what I mean when I say we all have to really focus on our thoughts. So when you take that question and combat it with the thought that, and especially that second question, and you combat it with the thought that there's always enough entry-level CRA roles, then imagine, just sit there and ask that question to yourself and see how you feel. There's more than enough entry-level CRA roles. There's an entry-level CRA role with my name on it. Say that to yourself, and then say the questions that you just asked in the chat, and see how your body feels when you're saying these different questions. See, do you feel tense? Do you feel happy, excited, sad, anxious, scared? Ask yourself, how do you feel when you compare the two? And that's how you know when you're in that space of, okay, my thoughts are at this point potentially self-sabotaging. Again, no fault, no shade to your brain, because it's doing its job. It's just trying to protect you. Maybe there's some fear of rejection ultimately. So it's protecting you from that rejection, that fear of rejection. But it doesn't serve you in this capacity. Of course, our brains was designed to really, really protect us, like, if a lion is chasing us type of thing, right? But sometimes we can take that and put it into these type of settings and these type of situations, and it can unfortunately affect our careers. So I would say ask yourself those things, Joni. Um, get out of the mindset that there aren't enough entry level CRA roles. There's more than enough for you. And then just to address your question about the lopsidedness, um, I feel like at a certain point in the industry, there will come a time where companies won't have a choice. They're gonna have to start hiring mostly entry levels, just because there's gonna be a huge wave of people that are about to start retiring in the industry. I'm just waiting for it to hit, I feel like. And then there's also been an influx of trials and needs in general. And there's always been a need in our industry, but now it's even greater than ever. Every time you talk to somebody, every time I talk to somebody, no matter on the CRO side, the sponsor side, they all say the same thing. We need CRAs. And I know for you aspiring CRAs out there, you hear that, you're probably like, well, I'm here, I'm ready. Nobody has called me. And to Joni's point, yeah, because they want experienced CRAs. But it's like a catch-22, y'all. So I can see the sponsor side of things, the CRO side of things, because it's a very challenging role. Going back to what I said earlier about resilience being the number one thing that you need, it's a challenging role. I'm not going to lie. Can it be a fun, rewarding, lucrative career? Can it be door opening? Absolutely. But it does require effort and energy. And a lot of times companies don't have the infrastructure to bring in a bunch of people and to train a bunch of people. So that's part of the problem, is that we need more support with companies. Maybe if they had some partnerships, let's say, with how they can properly train CRAs and get them through the door, and there was a system, then I think that would help maybe speed up the process and fill the gap. But I also think that most likely it'll just be one of those situations where a bunch of people are going to retire. Like I said, there's going to be huge need, and they're just going to have to start hiring people, and we're just going to take the sink or swim approach. So I think naturally it'll start balancing out, Joni. But you don't need to worry about that, because there's more than enough CRA jobs right now for you, and you can get one. So take that off the table. And y'all, I have something special that I'm launching on Thursday. So stay tuned for that too. That will a special program that I'm launching that may be the thing that you need to fill in that gap. So the next question, Joni, I hope I answered your question. If not, let me know. Next question, Hannah. Can you talk about moving from CRC to CPM? So I'm assuming you mean clinical project manager, Hannah. And can you please be more specific with your question? That's another open-ended question. Y'all, please be specific with questions, because I try to get through as many as I can during this time. So when you ask the open-ended questions, it could just go so many places. So Hannah, can you please be a little bit more specific, and then I'll double back around. Okay, so Ashika asked another question, and let me see, did Oshika respond again? Okay, I see your other one, Oshika. You said since the end of February, but I've been correctly doing it since April, more strategically since May. Okay, so you're getting better along with time, Oshika, and that's progress. February, April, May, and so I would say that, and going back to your original question when I asked you like how long you've been looking and stuff, I would say that that's definitely enough time to say that okay, you should be seeking some help, some support, some guidance. And guys, when I say this, don't think I'm saying okay, that means you need to specifically work with me, because I don't work with everyone, because we're not always a great fit. So I'm not saying specifically work with me. I'm just simply saying that you may want to consider working with somebody. And when I say somebody, I don't mean go and get another training or another certificate or certification. I mean specifically a career coach, someone that is going to give you the skill set of personal branding and self-marketing that I keep talking about. Because remember, that's a skill set that we all need throughout our entire career that can literally skyrocket your career. So that's what I mean when I say get with somebody, get some help. So yes, Oshika, if you've been looking for that long, there's definitely things. I can't remember what your original question was. Let me see. Should you be doing something to up your chances? Yes, yes. And there's so many different things that you can be doing. There's always the DIY way, right? You can try it on your own. It sounds like what you've been doing. But if you're like me and some other people and you rather just go to somebody who has already figured it out versus keep trying it on your own, then I would suggest to reach out to a career coach as well. And let's see your question now. So, how do I up my LinkedIn profile? I think right now it's pretty blah because I recently started to actively use LinkedIn. Okay. So, let me see. I wish them, what time is it? I don't think we have enough time now, but you just gave me an idea about something with LinkedIn, Oshika. So, thank you for that. But so what can you do to up your chances? In the interest of time, I'm going to refer you back to the 30 over 30 series that I did in November. So if you go to my profile in the activity section and then look at the videos, and then you go back, scroll back to November and of last year, and you'll see that I did a 30-day series in November. And I did a whole section in there. There's several days worth of LinkedIn and step-by-step guide on how you can up your game on LinkedIn. So check that out. And then, like I said, as you know, I have these guest speakers coming in every week over the next several weeks. We'll be talking about some things that you can do to up your LinkedIn game as well. So stay tuned for that too. Now let's see who else. Where am I? Okay, Fantasia. I think that's where we are. So, Fantasia, do you believe becoming a certified CRA or CRO is beneficial with being early on into being a CRA? What do you mean when you say CRO? I don't know that certification. And then a certified CRA, do you think is being beneficial with being early on into being a CRA? So, do you mean before you become a CRA? So, typically, it's really hard to get the CRA certification from ACRP, and I want to point that out that the at this point the only truly recognized industry CRA certification, official certification, is offered through ACRP. And you have to have a certain amount of hours in monitoring experience before they'll even let you take that exam. So throwing that out there, typically, unless you are already a CRA, at least I haven't seen a case where somebody wasn't already a CRA and they were able to get the certification. I'll put it that way. So now, if you're referring to after you've already become a CRA, Fantasia, and you're asking how beneficial it is in your career, that was my situation. So after I landed my CRA role, I think it was my second year as a CRA. So the first year I got the SOCRA certification. So the CCRP, I can't talk. And then my second year as a CRA, I got the CRA certification through ACRP. And do I think that it's really leveled up my CRA career in terms of opportunities, in terms of negotiating power, in terms of salary? I honestly don't think so. Now, again, one can argue that, well, you don't really know, Jasmyn, because you got it, right? So yeah, that's valid. But when I say that I don't think it has like truly been a game changer for my career, because I've specifically brought it up in times of like promotion opportunities or negotiating, and they flat out told me that it didn't it didn't matter. So I'm not just saying this because I think or maybe or possibly I actually heard them say it in these in these situations and scenarios. And then that's why I'm so big and so heavily focused on career development skills and acquiring skill sets that cross all borders. So it doesn't matter what company you work at, right? It doesn't matter what site, CRO. It doesn't matter if you're self-employed or if you're a W-2 employee. It literally doesn't matter where you are in the game. It crosses all borders. Those are the type of skills that I teach my clients. Those are the type of skills I want you guys to know. Because like I said, when you have those skill sets, you can do whatever you want. And it's going back to branding and marketing yourself. I know I say this till I'm blue in the face, but I have to keep saying it because somebody right now thinking, well, Jasmyn, like, I just got to get this master's, or you don't understand. It's just this, if I get this one certificate, no, stop it. That's not what it is. And I'm not telling you this because I feel I'm just trying to blow smoke and mirrors. I'm just trying to make you feel better. I'm telling you this because I did it and it didn't help me. All the things you're probably thinking about doing, I already did them and it didn't help me. What helped me was the things that I'm telling you, which is why I'm telling you these things, is when I actually took control of my brand and started marketing myself the proper way. That's when things shifted. Oh, and Vantasia said CRP. So yeah, the same, which I covered that. Thank God. I threw that CRP certification in there. But yeah, I covered that. So that was my first year. CRA was the second year. And neither one of the same for the CRP certification, y'all. And again, I'm not saying don't get these things because I got them. I'm not saying that. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying don't get a certification. What I'm saying is that we all need to know our reasons behind why we're doing these things. Someone reached out to me today and asked about a master's degree. And my first thought was, okay, well, what is the reason behind getting this degree? If it's just to get more money, or if it's just because that's gonna be that one thing that's gonna get me a CRA job, then no, those aren't the reasons to do it. When it comes to building your career, and I did a podcast episode on this, having a career mindset versus a job mindset, you have to have a career mindset to build a career. And with that career mindset, every decision, every choice that you make has to be to solve a specific problem. Problem meaning maybe a goal that you're trying to reach. So if it's not within that lane and it doesn't serve a purpose, no, you don't. We're not just, we can't just accumulate degrees and certifications. Now, there was a time and a place for that a time ago, but in 2023 today, absolutely not. We cannot successfully build and grow careers that way no more. At this point, it's really all about how to being able to brand and market yourself. So I hope that makes sense. Juanita says, please talk about CTEs. Can you please be more specific, Juanita? What exactly would you like to know? Fatima said on the site side, I think I covered mostly on the site side what you would do, Fatima, and that was with the SAE question, I believe. You basically want to make sure on the site side, the main thing is that you're reporting it within 24 hours of awareness. And I mean awareness. So anybody at the site that became aware, like somebody sent them a text message, you're aware. You need to report it to the sponsor or the CRO within 24 hours and get as much information as you can during that initial reporting. Sometimes, depending on the SAE, you can't get any information. Maybe the husband or wife just called and said, such and such was hospitalized, and I'll update you later. But get as much information in that initial conversation as you can. And then after that, at that point is follow up. And you want to document everything. And if it, let's say, like I said, it does involve a hospitalization, for example, you want to request those medical records if the patient doesn't automatically provide them, because you want to, again, go back to documentation, have everything about this particular event documented. It's an SAE, and you want to make sure that it's properly captured in the EDC system. If that's the way of reporting it, some studies may require it to be reported via a paper form and sent to an email inbox. However that study is set up, you want to make sure that it's reported and captured in EDC correctly. And notify your CRA. Notify your CRA as well. I don't think I said that part. This next one, I think I already answered that with Oshika. Did I answer this one? Maybe since April, I've been applying it. She said she's been applying to countless jobs, revamped her resume because she was underselling herself, which I see that a lot. So you're on the right track, Oshika. Like I said, you've been taking a different approach, utilizing LinkedIn and networking. Okay, so you're on the right track, Oshika. Like I said, it sounds like you're on the right track. And you might not want to hear it. I don't know you like that, but if you work on your thoughts, even just practice it for 24 hours, working on your thoughts and believing, feeling, being in that CRA role. And what would you do? What would you think? How would you act? How would it affect your family? How would it affect you personally? What's next after the CRA role? Like really feel and breathe that goal and just stay in that lane for 24 hours and ask yourself specifically, what thoughts do I need to think to help me stay in this space, in this lane? Some of the thoughts that I've been working on lately, just to give you an example, is everything is always working. I say that thought a lot of times. I'll write it down a lot of times. And if I'm in like a real, maybe about to be freak out moment, if it's a freak out moment, this is not good. This is not strong enough. But if it's like I feel myself escalating, then I might say, I'm okay. Everything. Wait, what do I say? I'm okay. I'm doing great. I'm okay. I'm doing great. I'm okay. I'm doing great. Sometimes I'll write it out too. I'll say it, I'll write it out. But everything is working. So even when it looks like everything, the S has hit the fan and everything on the outside is looking like it's breaking down, if you could just tell yourself everything is working because God is still in control and God has my back. It doesn't matter what happens, right? It's all still part of the plan. So that's what I mean when I say you have to really take control of those thoughts. And I don't know, Oshika, what your thoughts are being like. It sounds like they're shifting though with the direction you're going. So if you could just hone that in, I'm waiting on you to come back to me with a testimonial. Put it that way. Bethlehem, I see that you say you've been applying around 4 months now to CROs. So yep, the same applies to you too. If you've been applying that long, there's definitely things that you need to adjust. I'll put it that way. Kimberly, I've applied to over 100 jobs and all rejections. And then your second message says, I'm only getting interviews for other CRC positions. Kimberly, send me a message. All of you really. I feel like Kimberly, what is that? I heard this one. I felt it. Because I had applied to over 100 too, Kimberly. I was there. You reminded me, you took me back to a place. I remember at one point when I just was broke down crying. I said, I guess this isn't for me. I had given up. At least I told myself, but clearly I didn't. But I was there, Kimberly. I was there. I was you. And going back to all the things, I don't know if you've heard them and how far you've been listening, but going back to everything that I've said tonight, that sounds like that's your missing piece. If you're already a study coordinator, if you've applied to 100 jobs and got 100 rejections, it goes back to and it sounds so. I have a lot of people that come to me and say that don't sound right, Jasmyn. It just sounds too simple. And we get caught up in thinking that everything has to come hard because that's how we've been conditioned and trained to believe, but it doesn't. Things can come simple. It can be fun, simple, and easy, y'all. And that's what I'm here to tell you, that if you just shift from that place of what traditional education tells you, the career paths tell you that you need, if you shift from that way of thinking, you'll see results. And I can guarantee you, Kimberly, that's what's going on with you. Subtle, just small tweaks make a huge difference. So yeah, everything that I've been saying already here tonight, Kimberly, that all goes to you. Jesse, hey Jesse, it's been a Oh God, what did I just do? um, okay. I don't know what I just did. Um, dang it, what did I just do? Y'all, I'm technically challenged. See, if I can be a CRA, you can too. Okay, I think y'all should be able to hear me now. My screen just like it went. I don't know, but we're back on. So Jesse, wait, no, this is not your original question. Where is it? Is this your question? How do you know when you're ready to jump from CRC to CRA? Um, when I think this is your question, Jesse. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it looks like it wiped out the questions too. And I'm trying to look directly on my LinkedIn account. How do you know when you're ready? Yeah. Okay. So how do you know when you're ready, Jesse? When you it's a feeling inside. Number one, I definitely believe in intuition. So it's a feeling inside where you feel where you feel like you've outgrown that role maybe, or you feel like there's something next, or you feel like you want to play a different part within the big clinical trial wheel, so to speak. You want to play a different part in the whole big system. And so those are some like quick tell ways that you can say, okay, I'm ready to transition. Another way is when regulatory becomes a lot more easier for you. So you know exactly what to expect to be housed in the ISF. You are being prepared. You're prepared when the CRAs come, and you know, you have your data entered, and you're able to, when they ask for information, you're able to provide them with that information about the patients. You know exactly what's going on with the patients and the data. And, you know, you're keeping the data pretty clean. Not to say that you never have any open queries or things like that, but you're able to speak to them and say why they're still open. Maybe it's pending an update or an assessment from the doctor or something like that. So you're just really at your A game and on top of things. And you feel like, okay, you can handle this role, and you feel like you've mastered going back to I think, Jesse, you've definitely listened to the podcast about having the gateway skills, the CRA gateway skills. If you feel like you've touched on 70% of those, then I would say you're ready. You're ready. And Jesse, if you're low key asking me if you're ready, then I've told you yes. You are definitely ready. You've been ready. So you're ready. Shanita, you're up next. But like I said, it wiped out my question, so I can't put it on the screen. Let's see if it'll let me. Okay. So Shanita, your question is, I have 12 years of experience of being a cancer registrar. Considering a new role in oncology, do you think I should consider clinical research assistant position first, or is clinical research coordinator position an entry level position as well? Shanita, both of those positions are entry level, and I think both of those positions will be great positions for you. You can also look at the clinical research specialist roles. I would recommend those as well. And there's different titles too, y'all, that are kind of tricky that are out there. So look at also clinical trial associate. Depending on the company, that could be another potential role. And then I've seen CRA assistants too. So look at those roles too, Shanita. You're on the right track. That's perfect. And then let's see. Dyke Campbell says, I've been applying every day and everywhere with no luck. LinkedIn is a joke. A whole bunch of scam artists presenting themselves as legitimate employers only for you to find out they're trying to steal your money. Dyke, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I have not ran into any scammers myself on LinkedIn. No one has stolen my money on LinkedIn. And I stand by LinkedIn. It has literally helped me build my career, build my business. So I don't know what is going on with your particular situation. I would love to hear more. But LinkedIn is certainly not a joke. And going back to when I first started and I talked about your thoughts and how they create your results, if you're thinking that LinkedIn is a joke, of course you're running into scammers and you're running into people that's trying to steal your money because you think it's a joke. But I think LinkedIn is I think it is a machine that you can leverage to transform your career. And when you think those thoughts, it becomes a machine that you can leverage to transform your career. So, Dyke, tell us more. Solomon says, Dyke Campbell, not true. Thank you, Solomon. Dyke says, it's my experience on LinkedIn. Yours could be different. And of course, Dyke, you're right. We all have different experiences, but I would again challenge you to just check your thoughts. Okay, Debbie, thank you. Joni, thank you. Okay, and we're hitting 8 o'clock now. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to everybody. But we're right at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to end it, but next week I'll be back on again live. Like I said, I'm going to be back to doing the Mondays Q&A, so you can join me again live. If I missed your question today, I'm no longer going to keep track of them outside of this platform. So please join me again next week and drop your questions in the live again. I'll be going live on Wednesday with Angela Roberts at 7 p.m. And we'll be talking about all about how the job search process is not about you, y'all. It's not about you. So you definitely don't want to miss that. You want to hear it straight from. And Angela's not just, and not to throw shade on people who are recruiters, but Angela is a recruiter and co-founder of a CRA recruiting firm. So you definitely don't want to miss this live on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be covering some of the questions, some of the topics, the questions that you guys had here today. So you don't want to miss out. Again, join me next week. And then Thursday, I don't know what time I'm going to come on. So if you're not following me, follow me, click the bell so you'll get notified when I do come on Thursday. But I'm going to come on and I'm going to share a special surprise with you guys. So you don't want to miss that. It's a special program that I've been listening to all the feedback that I've been getting, not only from my private clients, but also from all of you who reach out to me. And so I have a special opportunity that I want to make you guys aware of. So like I said, join me next week or join me Wednesday and Thursday. And as always, it's been a pleasure. I love doing these lives. You can visit one thing I did forget to say is you can visit aspiringcra.com if you are interested in private coaching with me. Or you can shoot me a direct message on LinkedIn if you have any additional questions about anything that we covered today or anything that we didn't talk about. I always look forward to speaking with you guys, chatting with you guys. So as always, it's been a pleasure. And I cannot wait to see you guys on Wednesday. Talk to you soon. Bye.